Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman. My name is Michele Hanisee. I'm the president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys for Los Angeles County. 1/3 of all the inmates on death row come out of Los Angeles County. Our prosecutors are deeply invested in these verdicts and protecting these verdicts. And I myself have tried 40 murder trials, including 3 in which death was sought and obtained from a jury. All 3 of my cases that resulted in a death sentence involved either multiple murder charges or prior convictions of murder. And they were all under different circumstances, but they all had one commonality, which is in each case, the defendant had afterwards laughed and bragged about the murders he committed. The road to a death verdict is a long, slow road, and my office has been praised by the defense bar for having one of the most involved scrutinies in making that decision on whether to seek death. Every aspect of the defendant's life is scrutinized: his criminal history, his childhood, the nature of the crimes, any mitigation, history of mental illness, and the defense is also invited to submit materials for a review by the committee that's made up of the most experienced prosecutors in the office. And in the end, the death penalty is sought in a tiny fraction of cases that are eligible for the death penalty. The vast majority in my office include, like my own, cases of multiple murder or prior convictions of murder. The thing that I think is important to remember about the death penalty is that it's not imposed by police who make the arrest. It's not imposed by prosecutors who make the decision to seek death, nor is it imposed by the judges who hear these cases. The death penalty can only be imposed by a jury of citizens from our community. And the fact that they do so again and again and again in these most egregious cases validates the existence of death as a possible penalty for some murders. There are some crimes that are unforgivable. If the penalty for a single murder is life in prison, how can we discount the lives of additional victims by allowing the defendant to suffer the same penalty for 10 murders that he would for 1? I also find it disrespectful to those members of the community who served as jurors and who sat for weeks and weeks and listened to all the evidence in person, who watched the witnesses and weighed that evidence. For anyone who did not actually sit there and listen to all that evidence for weeks and weeks and weeks, to tell them that they were wrong in their verdict. It's intellectually dishonest to have any conversation about the death penalty without discussing the facts of these cases, because they are frankly too hideous to discuss in polite society. Charles Ng, one of the worst serial killers in U.S. history, is on California death row, as is Lawrence Bittaker. You know his nickname, I'm sure. I can't speak to whether this is true today, but as of about 8 months ago, there was an inmate on death row with a cell phone ordering crimes from death row. I know because my office was investigating that case. They don't stop killing just because they're on death row. And I think the lives of other inmates and the lives of the prison guards also deserve protection. Those shouldn't be free murders. There should be a penalty for that. The suggestion that civilized societies don't support the death penalty is inaccurate. Many countries, such as Japan, Thailand, Taiwan, and Singapore, have the death penalty. They may not be Western, they may not be white, but it's unfair to suggest that they're not civilized. The death penalty can work, and it does work in other states, and it works in the federal government. Timothy McVeigh was executed about 7 years after his sentence, and the D.C. sniper in less than 6. I can respect the proponents' belief that the death penalty is wrong in every case, but the strength of their beliefs should not outweigh the democratic concept of majority rule. And the majority of citizens in this state have voted repeatedly to keep the death penalty. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.